Hello! Welcome to DIY is my happy place. I'm Amy and today we're going to be talking about paint. Now, I am not a professional painter. I do paint a lot of things, but I have never tried to do huge undertakings like the exterior of my home. But exactly 1 year ago, I took that on. I know it sounds crazy, and I'm doing this video not to show you all the tips and tricks for painting the exterior of your home, because actually, quite frankly, I'm not a professional. But what I want to show you is that you really can learn to do just about anything if you set your mind to it and you watch enough tutorials. And that's exactly what I did. I found a lot of different painting tutorials online, but my favorite came from a guy named, he's the Idaho Painter. Now, I'm not endorsing him, I'm not getting a kickback for him, I'm just saying he's got some good stuff. Really, anything that you might need to know, he pretty much has done a YouTube video training how to do it. And that's what I did. I watched hours and hours. Every few days I'd watch another hour of how to paint. And we had actually gotten a bid to have our house painted by a professional, and we decided to do that. But then when I really got my color schemes put together and it was figured out what I wanted, which I wanted 2 tones plus a white trim, so really that's 3 colors, the price went through the roof for doing that. So I either had to wait longer or do it myself. And I decided to do it myself. The other thing that I have is a lot of wood windows. One day I'm gonna have to replace all my windows, but that wasn't gonna be now. So I knew that I was gonna have to sand those all down. It was gonna be a big undertaking. And again, the price was gonna go through the roof if I didn't do it myself. So I just watched video after video, and I talked my son into helping me because I have a lot of really high-pitched roofs, and I figured if I have my husband on the ground getting us the paint and my son and I up on the roof so we could paint all the areas of the house, we could get it done. And we rented a sprayer. I'm telling way too much. I'll tell it during the video. So if you want to see how I, a non-professional, painted my house, let's have some fun. This is what my house looked like before we painted it. It's a mustard color. Actually, when we bought the house, it had a brand new paint job. I hated the paint job. And actually, most everything in the house needed refurbished, and I knew the paint was going to be something on our list, but it took a little while before we got to it. The first thing I had to do was decide whether or not I was going to hire it done or if I was going to actually try to do it myself. As my husband and I talked about it and we contemplated over and over, the answer came to we are definitely going to hire it out because it's just overwhelming. Our house has a lot of different peaks and valleys, and it would really be an undertaking. So we got a quote, an estimate of how much it would cost, and we started saving up and decided this is one thing we're going to go ahead, have somebody else do. Well, as I started figuring out what I wanted with the house, what color I wanted, how I wanted different things, didn't realize that in order to have it 2-toned and with a white trim, that costs a lot more money. Not to mention, our windows are wood windows and they needed sanded down and refinished, really need to be replaced at some point, but not in this year. The things just started adding up. And before you know it, the price to have our house completely done how I wanted it was off the charts. And of course it would be. I mean, it's a lot of work. So, change of plans. We decided we're going to try to do it ourselves. Now you might ask, do I know how to paint an exterior of a home? The answer is no. Do I know how to find videos on YouTube? The answer is yes. So that's what I did. Day in, day out, I would watch one video after the other to learn what kinds of things I needed to do, like sanding down and seeing if there's any cracks or crevices anywhere and putting those up, what type of putty to use, all those things I needed to learn. I did it. I just kept on watching one video after the other. Every time I would come up with something, I'd try to find someone who showed me how to do it. The paint prep, honestly, was the most work. And I also knew that I wanted to change out some lights. All of these things, it's not expensive to do, but it does take some learning. So when we finally got everything prepped after I watched the Idaho painter give me all the tips and tricks, I finally got to the point where I could do the cleaning of the paint. And oh, I was so happy when that day finally arrived. But I have to admit, looking up at those top peaks did give me pause. But finally, the day came. We decided we'd try to get it all painted in 2 days. We rented a sprayer, borrowed some ladders, and just started. There were 3 of us, my husband and I and my oldest son. And we got up bright and early. We were at the place to rent the sprayer the minute it opened. And we wanted to get the most out of our spraying time. So we started going. Well, it was a little windy. The wind would catch some of the paint and spray it. And look, if you're a professional painter, you probably wouldn't have painted on that day, but that was the day that worked for us. So basically, we started running out of paint. We had to keep getting more paint. Again, even though we had to get more paint, it was still a lot cheaper than hiring it done. The 3 of us worked tirelessly. And I will say there was a learning curve with the painter, because if it gets even a little air pocket, it won't work anymore. We didn't know what we were doing, so we just kept on trying. Then there is the fact that we have to climb these really tall ladders. We didn't have scaffolding or anything. I kind of locked my feet around the ladder to try to hold myself up. My husband would hold the bottom of the ladder. I don't know how safe. I mean, honestly, this probably isn't the best way, but the whole point of what I'm trying to say is sometimes you just do things and you work hard and you just get it done. And that's what we did. I have to admit that using a sprayer was definitely the way to go. But with all the problems that we ran into, we only got the first color on before we started losing daylight. We didn't even get to the second color or the trim, and we only had 1 more day left. And I knew that the first color was going to be the fast one because you can overspray. But the second color, when you can't spray up over that was going to take more time, and I was getting discouraged and I was worn out. That is one of the issues that we came to. Plus having to keep on running back and forth to Lowe's to get more paint because of the wind and the overspray. Well, and just lack of knowledge. We didn't know what we were doing. I'm sure a professional painter wouldn't have had to use as much paint as we did. But the fact that I wanted those 2 colors, I wanted all the pop-outs to be in a different color. So I called in the reinforcements. The entire family. I have 4 sons. 1 of them's out of town, but 3 of them live around and have 3 wives, and bless their hearts, they all came over for the second day. Everyone started helping, even Brielle. Well, she wanted to help. We gave her a rolling pin with some water so she could pretend like she was painting. Seth put up the lights for me. It was amazing. I can't believe how much better it was once I had a full workforce. Even just moving the ladder from here or there, to be able to have somebody who's just on ladder duty, and one person that's doing this color and one person that's doing that. This is when we were teaching Nathan. And the good thing is my kids all learned how to do it. We could overspray this particular part with the darker color because we knew we were going to do that board there in white. You just always had to be aware of what colors were going where and when. But luckily, Nathan knows how to spray now too. He even got up on the roof with us, so gave Jaron and I a break from all the times that we were up on that roof the day before. Luckily, the second day it wasn't as windy, and so things really started coming together much better. Oh, I just couldn't believe how happy I was once I saw the two tones, how I'd wanted it with the trim. Oh, it made me so happy. We did put some plastic on the windows. We thought we'd try something new. We thought I just couldn't help but wonder if the plastic that you use for runners along the carpet, if you're moving so that people don't truck in mud, if that would work on the windows. So we used that kind of plastic on our windows, cut it off around. It worked so great. No paint got behind it, but I wouldn't recommend that because in the long run, it was really hard to get off the windows when we were done. And it kind of left a film behind that needed to be washed. So that wasn't our best choice, doing the windows that way. But considering that we were amateurs, I have to say it really was amazing that we were able to accomplish the entire thing in 2 days. This is just the painting. Of course, the prep had been going for weeks before, but the actual painting, when we were renting the sprayer, we got it all done in 2 days. I absolutely loved it. Now, when we were picking our colors, we actually took a picture of our house and photoshopped the different colors. There are some apps online that you can do. My husband actually does it because I wanted to see what the colors of our house looked like compared to the house next door. I didn't want to be too matchy. So I was going for a gray blue, and his house is kind of gray. This is what we came up with. When it gets dark, the color looks different than it does in the daylight. But I have to say, I really love the white trim and how it pops in the darkness and the new lights. Oh, I'm telling you, this made me so happy. We had neighbors literally coming up to our door all day long. What is the color of your paint? We just love it. Oh, this is so beautiful. I have never had so many people. People would stop and honk and yell. It was so great because, let's face it, this house needed a paint job for a while, and it finally is a color and a style that I absolutely love. This was definitely the hardest DIY that I've ever done, but definitely the most rewarding too. So the point that I'm trying to say is, even if you don't think you can do it, sometimes it might be worth trying. Once I added up all the things that I absolutely wanted, I didn't even have those in our estimate, so I don't know how much it would have cost, but I know it would have been substantial. It was definitely worth doing it ourselves. Okay, there you have it. Now, once again, this video was not meant to be a tutorial of how to paint your house, but rather an example of how you could really try a lot of harder things than you might even think in order to get exactly what you want. Now, was it perfect? No, but we just kept on working until it was absolutely satisfactory. So, if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead, click on this video here or this one here, and I will see you again soon.